Thank you for coming to the unveiling of the Victory Ceremony items for Tokyo 2020 Games. Also, through videos and films, I would like to share our feelings. Thank you for all gathering today together with you towards Tokyo 2020. We want to have our feelings at one. My name is Matsuoka Shuzo. I am also the co-host, Miyuki Hirayama. So for today's event or ceremony, as Matsuoka-san just mentioned, this is live streamed on Organizing Committee's YouTube channel in 2 languages, Japanese and English, and also you can look at it through Line Lives. So people watching throughout the live streams, please stay tuned until the very end. So, Matsuoka-san, jumping right in. I'm sure this victory ceremony, you've seen this in the past. So as from an athlete perspective, the victory ceremony must be something very, very cherishing thing. As you've seen in the film, I mean, the athletes have gone through many, many struggles, and it's a place where you solidify all the activities you have done. So their expressions, all the athletes' expressions comes out at the victory ceremony. So as I look at the victory ceremony, what I always feel is that all the athletes' expressions and the people and the audience watching the athletes on the podiums and all the people related and the supporters, it's all that everybody becomes one. I think that is what defines what victory ceremony is. And this is with any other event. This will be conducted in every kind of venues. And as I look at it, this victory ceremony, the people who are watching, the audiences, and through videos or films, how people all over the world become one. And that's something that'll be engraved in your memories, into your hearts. So that's what I believe so. So today, for the victory ceremony, we have the podium, the music, and the costume that we would like to unveil. So today, I would like to be introducing the committees that are in charge. So first is the president of Tokyo Organizing Committee for the Olympic and Paralympic Games, Seiko Hashimoto. Next is the Olympic and Paralympic top partner, CEO and president of Procter & Gamble Japan Limited, Mr. Stanislav Veshla. On behalf of the Olympic host city, Vice Governor of Tokyo, Mr. Mitsuchika Tarao. On behalf of affiliated committees of President of Japan Olympic Committee, Mr. Yasuhiro Yamashita. Also on behalf of affiliated committees and associations, Chairman of Japanese Parasports Association and Japan Paralympic Committee, Mr. Mitsunori Torihara. Thank you all for your participation today. Let us now introduce you to the creators of the victory ceremony items. Up first is the designer of Tokyo 2020 Games Victory Ceremony Podium, Mr. Asao Tokoro. Next is the composer of Tokyo 2020 Games Victory Ceremony Music, Mr. Naoki Sato. Lastly, the designer of Tokyo 2020 Games Victory Ceremony Field Cast Costumes and the Medal Tray Fashion Director, Mr. Sota Yamaguchi. For all the creators, thank you for being with us today, and we would like to hear your stories after the unveiling ceremony. So to commence today's ceremony, we would like to have the opening speech from Seiko Hashimoto, President of the Organizing Committee. And Seiko Hashimoto has appeared in various Olympic Games. To all the world's athletes watching this live stream, I am Seiko Hashimoto, President of Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee. As of today, June 3rd, we have 50 days left until the opening of the Games. Right now, I am at the Ariake Arena, which is located at a short distance from Tokyo Waterfront City and the Olympic Village. For the Olympics, this venue will be used for volleyball and wheelchair basketball for Paralympics. It has been a year since the Games were postponed for the first time ever in history due to COVID-19 and for everyone to face unprecedented challenges. Athletes who were aiming for the Tokyo 2020 Games back then must have been put in difficult situations where they could not participate in the Games nor engage in trainings. I believe you must have gone through tremendous struggles to overcome this past 1 year. However, in 50 days counting, we can welcome you all to this stage, and you are at the point of opening and hosting the Games. The day before yesterday, Australia's women's softball team landed in Japan as the first team arrival to participate in the Olympic Games. Throughout the entire competitions, Fukushima Prefecture is the venue for the openings of the softball games, and Team Australia so happens to be Japan's softball team's first opponent. I would like to share my deep gratitude for Team Australia for coming to Japan, and I welcome you from the bottom of my heart. We have 50 days left. I feel like I can hear the sounds of the athletes' footsteps heading to Tokyo one after another as they cross the borders of the sea. Across the world, there are voices of why the Olympics and Paralympics are being held during this time. However, because we're in this adversity, I would like to hold the Olympics and the Paralympics so that we can contribute to the regrowth of people's bonding and connections, which were divided and segmentalized by COVID. Making the world to become one again through the power of sports is what we need now, and I am certain that the Olympics and Paralympics hold such values. We would like to carefully engage in preparing for the Games while making sure that we give and pay our profound respects and appreciations to healthcare professionals and workers who are fighting daily for the recovery of our societies. Today, we're able to deliver you the unveiling of Victory Ceremony for Tokyo 2020 Games. For me personally, the Olympic Victory Podium was a place that took a long time for me to stand. That is why, after being 7 Olympic Games, winning the one and only medal in the Albertville Winter Olympics is something so memorable, and the Victory Ceremony I experienced is deeply engraved in my heart. But more so than ever, I was very touched by how many people were so happy for me, and it was also a moment for me to greatly feel the connections with the people who have supported me throughout the years. With Tokyo 2020 Games, there are 339 events for Olympics and 539 events for Paralympics. Thus, in total, there will be 878 times of victory ceremonies. For the athletes who will be standing on the podiums, and for us audiences who will be watching over them. I believe those moments will turn into truly experiencing the values of the Games, especially because of the times we live in now. I'm extremely looking forward to the athletes' remarkable success in any way at the Games. To all athletes, we would like you to know that we're fully ready and prepared with infection prevention measures, so please feel safe and reassured in coming to Japan. And for Japan to feel safe in welcoming you, I ask you, all the athletes, to be responsible with your actions to follow the rules. I am so looking forward to all of you athletes coming to our country. And for the people of Japan who are welcoming the arrival of athletes, I would like each and every one of you to honor and respect the athletes who are joining the Games after overcoming these difficult times. Lastly, I would like to share my profound gratitude to Procter & Gamble Japan Limited for collaborating in the project of making the podium out of used plastics, which were donated by people across Japan. Thank you very much to Procter & Gamble Japan Limited. This possibility of sustainability has definitely become a symbolic action. Before I close my speech, I would like to share my sincere appreciations to the members from affiliated organizations who are with us today and to the creators who have poured all your energy and time in developing the Victory Ceremony items. And that would be my closing remark. That would be my opening remark. Thank you very much. So the values of Olympics and Paralympics, the President Hashimoto Seko, thank you very much. Next, we would like a word from Procter & Gamble Japan Limited, who has been a major support for the development of the podium. Please welcome Mr. Stanislav Vischer, CEO and President of Procter & Gamble Japan Limited.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Stanislav Vischer from P&G, and I'm very honored to be here with all of you today.
皆様こんにちは。P&G ジャパン社長のスタニスラブ・ベセラです。今日この場で皆さんとご一緒できることを大変嬉しく思っております。
P&G Japan promotes corporate citizenship based on three pillars of environmental sustainability, equality and inclusion, and community impact where we operate.
これまで P&G は環境サステナビリティ、平等な機会とインクルーシブな世界の実現、社会貢献活動の3つの大きな柱を軸にコーポレートシティズンシップ活動を推進してまいりました。
As a top partner of International Olympic Committee for 10 years since 2010, we have been committed to the Olympic philosophy and creation of better world.
オリンピックの目指す精神や理念に共鳴し、2010年より10年間にわたって IOC のトップパートナーとしてオリンピックの理念やより良い社会の実現に向けて尽力してまいりました。
The legacy of the Tokyo 2020 Games will be better together with an extra focus on sustainability.
東京2020大会の目指すレガシーはサステイナビリティを重視しており、Be Better Together より良い未来へ共に進もうです。
P&G as a sponsor has been participating in the Everyone's Podium project to be part of this legacy.
P&G もスポンサーとしてそのレガシーの一助となるべくみんなの表彰台プロジェクトに参画してまいりました。
The Everyone's Podium project is the first ever citizen-engaged recycling podium project in the history of the Olympics and Paralympic Games.
みんなの表彰台プロジェクトとは、使用済みプラスチック容器を消費者から回収し、東京2020大会の表彰台へ再利用するオリンピック・パラリンピック史上初となる市民参画型のリサイクル表彰台プロジェクトです。
The Tokyo 2020 podiums are made from used plastic packages directly collected by consumers and then recycled.
東京2020大会の表彰台は、この市民参画型のリサイクルのプロジェクトから直接回収したプラスチックを集められてポディウムが作られています。
And we continued after the Podium project and actually created also from the recycled packages face shields.
そしてこのリサイクルされたパッケージを使ってフェイスシールドなども作っています。
With the participation from so many people all over Japan, we are able to celebrate today's unveiling.
全国の多くの方にご参加いただき、無事に今日のお披露目を迎えることができました。
I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to all the people and organizations that cooperated with us.
協力していただいたすべての方に心より感謝申し上げます。
We hope that this project will encourage people and everyone be inspired that you can contribute to the circular society and together we can change the world by our actions.
このプロジェクトを通して循環型社会の実現に自分自身も貢献できるということ、一人一人の行動で世界を変えることができるということを感じていただくきっかけになれば嬉しく思います。
Thank you very much for your attention. ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, Mr. Stanislav Vischer. So his passion, and he was also in the torch relay. His smile, his smiles is really captivating. Thank you so much. So for today's ceremony, we have invited special guests of Olympians and Paralympians from the past games who have actually experienced the victory ceremonies. So let's invite them over to the center of the stage. The first Olympian is the gold medalist from boxing middleweight class, Mr. Ryota Murata. Murata-san has won the gold medal in London 2021 Games. So Murata-san's gold medal is something that I can never forget, and his thoughts is something, his memories and his thoughts is something that is supporting his current boxing career. Thank you very much for your courage. Up next is the medalist, gold medalist of 200 meters swimming breaststroke, Miss Kyoko Iwasaki. Miss Iwasaki has won the gold medal with 200 meters breaststroke at the Barcelona 1992 Games. Her record of getting the gold medal at the youngest age has still not been broken yet. Everybody knows of Iwasaki-san that she said you were the happiest moment when you received your medal at the age of 14, and I myself am happy today being with you today. Next is the Kawai Jui-san of the gold medalist. Mr. Kawai has been in the Paralympics Barcelona 1992 to London 2012 consecutively, and through the 6 games he has won a total of 12 medals, including 5 gold medals. So being able to do the Paralympic fully, that will lead to the success of Tokyo 2020. Thank you, Kawai-san, for being with us. And last but not least, the gold medalist to Paralympic chair ski, Ms. Kuniko Ohinata. Ms. Ohinata has been in the Paralympic Lillehammer 1998 to Vancouver 2010 consecutively, and through the 5 games, she has won a total of 10 medals, including 2 gold medals. So the Paralympic and you said that adjusting your job together, the Paralympic is what you're doing. So I look forward to your feelings and your thoughts within your passions to Tokyo 2020. So it is an honor to have such legendary athletes today with us as special guests for the unveiling ceremony. Thank you very much for being with us today. So please take a seat. Please take your time. Thank you very much. So having this amazing athletes is just like legend athletes here. Obviously, we see the podium that's still under the veil, but thank you for all the athletes being with us today. Let us now move into today's main ceremony, the unveiling of Victory Ceremony items. Today, we'll be revealing together The music, costumes, and podium. The music performance is by the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra. They were established as the commemorative culture program from the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. And as the music ambassador of the capital of Tokyo, they marked their 55th anniversary in 2020. The chorus is by Tokyo Philharmonic Chorus. They were founded in 1956, and they stand as a chorus group representing Japan. The direction is by Mr. Sachio Fujioka, well known as Chief Conductor of Kansai Philharmonic Orchestra and Chief Guest Conductor of Tokyo City Philharmonic Orchestra. So President Hashimoto and all guests and the medalists, please, if you can kindly go to the side of the stage. Thank you very much. So the unveiling of the victory ceremony items. Please take a look. Victory ceremony which praises the honor of athletes. Here lies the winners who had overcome myriad obstacles and struggles. Currently, the world is in the midst of a major adversity, and everybody is yearning to overcome this distress and become one. And everybody's trying very hard. This is Tokyo 2020 Games, which was postponed for the very first time ever in history. I believe the winners of this Tokyo 2020 Games is not just the athletes, but all the people involved in the games are all winners. To all the people who support and cheer, they are all victories. That's what I truly believe. The people that are supporting and the healthcare professionals who support the well-being of the entire society, to all staff members who are supporting the games. All of you, this is the music I would like you to hear, to feel and to listen and to hear, and let's connect. performers from the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra and the Tokyo Philharmonic Chorus. Thank you very much for the wonderful performance. Thank you very much. And also the models, thank you very much. You start imagining what Tokyo 2020 with all this music and this Victory Ceremony, the athletes that will be standing on this podium, how the world becomes one, and this music really represented that. And I could just feel that moment happening in Tokyo 2020. Thank you very much all for the wonderful performance. So that was the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony Orchestra and the Tokyo Philharmonic Chorus. And along with the unveiling of the Victory Ceremony items, so now we are going to be introducing you to the creators of the Victory Ceremony items. So I'm sorry to say this, but they already had this probably like from a year ago because Sato-san, because of all this adversity, and nobody had imagined this was going to happen. So that's how they made the music and composed the music. And I think everybody is trying to move forward. We have this strong passion, and that I was able to overlap my feelings together to listening to the performance. It's almost like somebody giving us courage and giving us a push, a nudge on our backs to move forward, to step forward to a brighter and a better world for the entire for the entire world. So we would like to introduce Tokoro-san, Sato-san, and Yamaguchi-san. Please welcome them with a warm applause. Okay, so please feel free, don't worry. So Tokoro-san, including the emblem, you have put together an amazing work, an amazing design. So first off, I would like to ask the Tokoro-san your feelings and your passions behind. So this design, obviously, it includes the emblem, and there was some of that it overlaps with one another, but having the Victory Ceremony and the podium, what was your thoughts behind making of it? First thing is that together with the emblem, I want the word connecting and bonding. That was the major thinking behind. And these are the pieces that are connecting with one another, and it's piled into like a blocks. And that's where it becomes the podiums for the athletes. So for the athletes, and when they stand, this podium is not finessed at the stage. It's finessed when the athletes are on top of the podium, and that's when it finesses the podium. So as Procter & Gamble had said, that they collected empty plastic containers, and they put together the podium. So everybody's thoughts is really embedded in this podium. And I think using current technology, using 3D printers, and also for the Tanaka professor with the Keio University, the members of those teams has been contributing technological-wise, and in the future as well, and to the next generation, this technology can be passed on. So I'm very happy to have the opportunity to talk about this. So I'm sure you've seen past podiums. What is the most difference about this podium? Differentiation for me is that it's the texture. It's something it's made out from the plastic, things that might end up as garbage, and we're using those empty plastic containers and using technology, really looking into each texture's materials and to making sure that it can stand, that people can stand on top of the podium. So all these different fusions of technology, I think that's the biggest thing. And lastly, Tokoro-san, the theme of bonding and connecting. You've been saying that, and through this podium, how do you want this to be connected? I think I'm thinking about let's connect with the next generation. That's what I feel. Through this, I'm sure a lot of people are watching this live stream, and children can say, I want to be an athlete, or maybe they can say, I may not be an athlete, but maybe I can be part of making podiums. So I really think that our children, or to my grandchildren, I want this to be a baton to hand over to the next generation. I truly want to be connected as well. Thank you very much, Tokoro-san. And now, Sato-san, about within this 5 minutes, you really made our feelings come to one within beautiful performance, and you were able to show your performance. How do you feel? So to be able to perform our music in this kind of way, I'm very blessed. And the music for the athletes, and when they go up on the podium and hear this music, I want them to feel like they can receive the medal in a very refreshing way, and I'm looking forward to how they would feel the same way as I do. So in actuality, Sato-san, when composing the music, you struggled and struggled. You said you struggled and struggled and struggled and did it over and over. Did you struggle a lot with this music? Yes, I did. Writing the music, I'm not really good at composing music, so I did struggle. And what came out of that struggle? I believe basically I couldn't come up with the melody, and I had some tough times. But then thinking about the Olympics and the success of the Olympics and the Paralympics, that's how I put together the music. I feel that looking at the Olympics and the Paralympics, at the podium, the music that's sort of that you hear, it all overlaps and it becomes one when you hear the music and the podium. So through this music, what do you want to communicate to the world? For me, I made the music for the athletes that they can go up on the podium feeling very good. That was my number one priority in making the music. Lastly, the way you're talking, I feel like you yourself as an athlete, but another way, I'm sure there's this. I'm sure you weren't expecting the opposite, sort of the wave coming by. So can you tell us your final thoughts? Yes, the Olympics and the Paralympics. I'm hoping that we are going to have those games and looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Sato-san. And then the designer of the field cast costumes. So Yamaguchi-san, clothing and costumes, the wow factor. I'm sure you have to think of a lot of things. That's what I felt. What were your thoughts behind designing? So it was sort of a merge of the Japanese traditional costumes and the Western sort of costumes, and to be able to wear in a very comfort way. So when you say comfort, so the history and the future, so you want that to be the theme of connecting and bonding. That's the work that you mainly do. The very Japanese sort of feeling and all the history seems to be embedded in the costume. For me, bonding and connecting is really important. And for me, I put together this sort of designing on the front, and all of them is the connection of Japanese elements that consists and then turns into the sort of the designs of the on the fabric. And also the athletes to be connected. I mean, they're facing adversity and difficulties, and we saw the video and we saw the making of the video. What was the difficult part of putting together the costume? Well, I wanted to convey our ways of sort of craftsmanship of making costumes. So we worked together with some of the prefectures that helped us making, and we put together sort of a traditional work together with the fusion of the future. So for the Olympics and Paralympics, I believe it also plays a part in communicating culture and through to the world. What kind of culture do you want to convey? I believe that the Japanese clothing or kimono kind of clothing is sort of really conveys about this emotions. And from Western clothes, it's sort of a different way of construction. There's a different atmosphere in between the body and the clothing. So that kind of beauty and aesthetics is what I wanted to feel from the costumes that I made. So the podium, the music, and costumes, I believe the people around the world are understanding of your feelings and your feelings of bonding and connections. Thank you very, very much. So then we would like to ask the guest athletes to come up on the stage as well. And as introduced before, or we would like to have the guest athletes to come up on the stage to ask opinions from the athletes, and having all these athletes going to be in the middle of the stage. So for this time around, I did receive a script actually, but I am not following the script whatsoever because I realized that it's not going to work because of listening and hearing and seeing all these legendary athletes, this wonderful music and everything. So I just can't follow the script. So everybody, please give a warm applause to the guest athletes. So first, Mr. Murata, with the London Olympics, I saw in front of you how you received the gold medal and standing on the podium. What kind of a scenery did you see, and what did you feel? What did you remember the most from the victory ceremony? For me, Olympics is something that was a goal for me. And in actuality, when I stood on the podium, it wasn't actually the goal, but it was actually the beginning, the starting point. And that was something that I think everything changed from 180 degrees by standing on the podium. And at the end of the day, it's all a little bit of a trigger. So when I stood on the top of the podium, okay, I got the gold medal. I finished everything that I needed to obtain in my life. But then that was totally the opposite. For me, this podium is something for me that it was going to change my life. It was something that made me feel a trigger that my life is going to change from here and on. So as the past people had mentioned, like, bonding and connection. So I think Tokyo 2020 is part of symbolizing connections and leading to something, to another thing. So the sports and Olympics and Paralympics, what's the message that's behind or hidden within? What do you think they are? We talked about music, but the music composer, Matsuoka-san, was saying that a year ago it was already done, but when he was here on this arena, nobody had expected this pandemic, and it matched the song that matched this current adversity that we're struggling. And that's what all the Olympics and all the music is about. It's to fight against what we're currently facing and to go beyond your own sort of expectations. It's something that gives you a nudge. It gives you support. And that's why you have the music. It could have been something as a cliche, but that's the power of a sports in a nutshell. So this could be a difficult question to you, but to be honest, I'm having difficult times. But when you think about that, I think, there is this sort of opposing sort of voices. But then to have the Olympics and Paralympics, what do you want the Tokyo 2020 Games to be? I know that a lot of people are saying that towards the athletes, they ask the athletes that we shouldn't be doing the Olympics or the Paralympics. Our athletes have no sort of decision making in that. We can't. And as an Olympian experience, if we're going to do it, let's do a great one. Anything is about walking every day. People like that, why do they walk? What is their motive to walk? So you have to create a motive. So if everybody have their own motives, and all they do is to feel for that. So it's not something where there's right or wrong. So what the athletes would be standing on the podium and how they will feel and how will they move from then on is the very important thing. So thank you very much, Murata-san, for talking about how when you stood on the podium was your happening of your new stage in life. So Kyoko-san, it might be hard for you to say after Murata-san, but Iwasaki-san, you stood in the center of the podium and you said it was the most blissful time in your life. So this podium for you, what is hidden within this podium? For me, like Murata-san has mentioned, for me too, standing on this podium, it really changed my life. And it is the beginning. And for me, it makes me grow. That's what the podium has meant to me. And like hearing the music, I really felt deep inside of the performance, and it made me teary. And I don't mean to be condescending, but when you won the gold medal, I'm sure you have struggled a little bit because you won it at such a young age. But then the people who supported you was that I think the support system becomes actually a huge strength. And that's something you taught me. Yes, as I saw everybody talking about their thoughts about connection and bonding, it's and also as we've been talking, that is everybody's podium. So Olympics and Paralympics, it's about having all these different sort of like feelings and emotions being packed and concentrated in one. And within that, for myself, I've had, after the Olympics, I did go through difficulties in life, but I myself feel like the reason why it made me feel like, okay, I want to try again and want to strive again is it's all because of Olympics. Now, finally, we're going to have the Olympics in Tokyo. So Tokyo 2020, can you give us your thoughts? So when 2013, Tokyo was to be decided as the hosting city. And to be able to see the Olympics in Tokyo, I was so amazed and I was really, really happy. But the past year, things have changed drastically. And there's various opinions and that I'm very aware. But as Murata-san has mentioned, for all the athletes, it's not something for them to decide. And as we prepare fully, and that's something I believe as well too, all the people, the staff members, everybody, their thoughts, their bondings, their connections, in 50 years everybody can be together. I think we can put together put together a blissful Tokyo 2020 Games. So Kawai-san, if I can ask you first. Thirdly, so Kawai-san, including your being in school, I'm sure you've conveyed your feelings to many, many of your students. Can you tell us the thoughts or things you want to connect or to bond and your message? For me, being in the center and experiencing that, what I thought and then what I feel is something totally different. So standing in the podium versus what I feel now, like what I just heard, the music. I'm blind, but the impression that I get from music is very, very humongous. I had goosebumps and I felt, I'm not an athlete anymore, but I felt like I will not have the experience of going up on the podium with the music, but then that music, hearing that music, it reminisces the moments of me standing on the podium. And as Murata-san and Kyoko-chan mentioned, being on the podium was a trigger to change my life. So I myself, I want to convey the things that I've done. And then if I can connect that and if I can tell them that your dreams can come true, and plus that, that can really, including myself, that can help you grow. That's something as a message I'd like to convey. So Kawai-san, as an athlete, but also with the Paralympics, I think within Japan, you've established its position. I don't mean to be rude, but within the past year, something that this struggle of this year, how did you feel? Yes, for the athletes, it was a very hard year. And yet, athletes all have their own goals and they have spent every single day towards their goals so that it could lead to certain results. And I've seen many, many athletes like that. So there's all these different struggles, especially the Paralympians, is that there's a lot of people who are handicapped in certain ways. So they're people who were being able to, who had eyesights and who were able to see at the beginning, or people who were able to run from the beginning, but those things were taken away. So there are a lot of those athletes in the Paralympics. So for those people, we want them to understand that during this adversity, we have this new normal, and how to live this new normal and how to find happiness is in this new normal and find objectives and goals. The way to find, I think the Paralympian has the technique to find those happiness. So those strengths and being agile is something that I would like the Paralympians to show that in the games and within themselves. I want them to, just remember that you all have this sort of capabilities that's hidden within you. So the word possibility and the capabilities can be your strong, and the strength of believing is something very strong. Thank you very much. So Obinata-san, you talked about the person and the Paralympic, how you can match that, and that's something you've been taking activities for that topic. So this podium and Tokyo, there's a lot of matching. What do you think right now? So it's been a while that I'm feeling this kind of vibe and atmosphere where I'm in this sports sort of athletic feeling. It's been a while for me. And for me, I realize how big the stadium is, how high the ceiling is, and all these athletes who will probably be flourishing on the ground. For me, it's just giving me all these excitements. And after seeing this podium, it's been a while for me, but I was on the podium and it just recalled my feelings. This all came back like a flashback. That's what I felt. So Tokyo 2020, when it was decided, so for the para athletes commercial, I've seen commercials of that, TV commercials. So the making of the TV commercials, I believe you were heavily involved in it. In Japan right now, it's a moment for Japan to change as well. What do you think right now? I believe that about 7 years ago, so Olympics and Paralympics to be held in Tokyo when it was decided. Likewise today, Olympic and Paralympics, that wording to use in parallel, I never thought that day would come, actually. So as I see like Murata-san, together with Murata-san, Iwasaki-san to be on the same stage, I feel that sports is something with one sort of like stage. We have both Olympics and Paralympics, that people who may have disabilities or no disabilities can become one, and making that happen and making it true is an amazing thing. Obinata-san, Tokyo 2020 is coming. Any messages for that? I think the past year, we all, including myself and a lot of people, and people all over the world have experienced this unprecedented situations and moments and times. So for the Paralympic athletes or the Olympic athletes, I think nobody has experienced sort of what is happening. And we had to sort of find our own way to get out of the adversity. And even more so, a lot of the people connecting and having their support, or supporting and being supported, and how we're moving forward. And this thinking, I know it's tough and I know it's hard, but try to find a path and gradually start to move forward. I think that strength is that we want to have that from the athletes, even if it's small. If you can feel that from the athletes, that'll make me very happy. I myself will cheer to the athletes and to all the people involved in the Olympics and Paralympics. So this is sort of like Tokyo 2020 Games, which conveys this message to the entire world, to all athletes. For athletes, thank you very much for attending, but your thoughts has been well communicated to me. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you very much for all the guest athletes. So thank you very, very much. Right in front of me, I do have this prompter with the script, and it says 1 minute per person. Sorry, I went over time. But because I feel their passion is just so amazing. Their thoughts and their words, and it's not something that during this situation, it's not just about, everybody knows that just wanting to do it wouldn't really substantiate the realization of Tokyo 2020, but it's about the idea of trying to move forward and trying to connect and trying to bond. Those are the key words, I believe. So we are going to be closing today's Victory Ceremony unveiling, and we would like to have a word from 2 members. Yasuhiro Yamashita, President of Japan Olympic Committee, Mitsunori Torihara, Chairman of Japanese Parasports Association and Japan Paralympic Committee. First, President Yamashita, can you take the stage and make your closing statement? I am Yamashita from the Japan Olympic Committee. So Tokyo 2020 Games, it'll be the first ever in history where Olympics and Paralympics are together as one. And during this situation, we don't see the COVID being sort of settling down, but the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and Paralympics for the athletes and for the stakeholders and for all the Japanese people, we want to make sure that it'll be a safe and a reassuring games, and I truly believe in that. For all over the world athletes, until the rest of the day, there's only 50 days left until the games, but we will make sure, we will do everything we need to do until the games and make sure that we don't have anything left behind and have the Tokyo 2020 Games. Olympians, Paralympians, believe in yourself and please shine and aim for your dreams and goals. And furthermore, even if you win or lose, when the battle is over, let's honor each other. That's something within COVID. It is a very in the adversity of the COVID-19. This is something that I want to communicate to the entire world as hope, as a light, or inspiration or courage. And the segmented sort of world, bringing that to one, I believe that can be the force of Tokyo 2020. With Tokyo, I'm looking forward to the people from all over the world. I'm looking forward to your best success. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Yamashita. Just listening to his voice, you can feel his strength. What's really important with what he did with judo is that it's not about playing, but when to conduct the judo, that's something that he cherished when he was doing those athletes, so that you could really feel his passion from that. Next, followed by Mitsunori Torihara, Chairman. I am Torihara from Japan Paralympic Committee. So today, being the unveiling of the Victory Ceremony items, to be able to participate that, I am very honored. I myself, I've never been on the podium in my life. However, in London, the Paralympics, and also Sochi, Rio, and Pyeongchang. So this podium, the Victory Ceremony, I've always seen it up front. So when the athletes that goes up on the podium, their smiles, overwhelming smiles, and beyond those smiles, you see these obstacles and there's struggles that they overcame, and you can see that, and that's how I'm so inspired, and I was given courage, and this amazing, valuable games is coming right by. It's just around the corner, and that's how I feel. This past 1 year for the athletes, I'm sure you had to practice or train under so many restraints, and even your everyday lives, you had to put into a different way of doing your trainings to overcome the struggles and obstacles. And the world athletes, I would like to see how you shine. And a lot of people, all the people's feelings will change with that, with the athletes, to welcome differentiation, to welcome diversity. This inclusive society is what we'd like to change. I think that Olympics and Paralympics is something that is a huge force that can create that. So such important games for the world athletes to perform their best, and for us, Tokyo, to have that fully capable environment. We will strive to have a safe and a reassuring games, and for the athletes, that we can give you our whole support and cheering, and we can work together and do to our fullest. So the world's Olympic and Paralympics athletes and the stakeholders, supporters, all of them coming to Tokyo, I am so looking forward to that, and I would like to strive hard for that as well. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman Torihara. So I'm just right now feeling that it's this Olympic. I think nobody knows in the world what's going to happen, but it's not about losing or winning. It's about thinking that it's going to happen in Tokyo, feel that, and that's going to become another big message and become a force in the future. And that's what I feel after listening to everybody's comments, messages today. So now Tokyo 2020 Games, the unveiling of Victory Ceremony items will be over. All the guest athletes and the creators, thank you very much for coming to the ceremony today. And also, the people that have been watching the live stream at the very end, thank you so very much. So, Masaoka-san, with everybody that has been watching this live stream, I would like to see you at the Tokyo 2020 Games. Thank you very much and goodbye. Sayonara. And to Tokyo 2020, let's go for it.